Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of the MB Ship in a Bottle Mayflower. Scale is unknown. In part 1 I started the build by placing the deck on and the two halves of the hull together, as well as the rudimental painting of the ship. In this part my aim is to get the masts on and the rigging on. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To begin with, I'm going to be placing on the anchors. The anchor location points are right on the side of those two big massive holes. Now, to me, these anchors are way out of scale for the ship. They just look very large and cumbersome, but I'm not going to be making any modifications to the actual boat itself. The reason for that is because I've never done a ship in the bottle. I'm just taking it exactly how the kit suggests. The rudder is painted in red with aquacolor 09 anthracite, the same as the anchor. It's not a huge thing to paint, just a tiny little thing. I'll also be placing on the rear another detailing sheet. I just forgot to place it on when I was putting the ship together. As you can see, it's just a little part that goes onto the stern of the ship, and it's the markings for the windows and so forth. So it's going on exactly like the other ones, just a little bit of PVA glue onto the ship before sliding on the piece of printed paper. Onto the rigging then, and the instructions say to rig it out once the masts are on. Now, generally I would do this on a normal scale build ship, but this is such a tiny little thing. I thought it was better to do the main rigging while I'm building the mast instead of waiting until everything is in situ, then building it. Before placing the rigging on. Now, the main reason, obviously, is for the size, but there's also this rigging runs through the deck, and you use this rigging then to pull up the masts once the ship's in the bottle. And if I was having to rig it up while the masts were in place, it would just make it very difficult to get everything lined up. So I thought it'd be better just to do it as I go along. So as you see there, I'm using my own rigging material. It's just a little bit of flats coloured cord, and I'm using a threader here. This is what you get in a sewing kit to help you thread a needle, and this is ideal for passing into small holes and rigging the whatever you're doing, whether it be a ship, a plane, a car, whatever it is you need to pass thread or cord through. These little threaders are excellent for that. So as you can see there, I'm just tying little knots onto the mast per instructions where the rigging is going to go. I should say, if you want to see how I do my rigging on full scale ships, check out the USS United States, or my recent one, the Vasa, and I'll go into a lot more detail how I rig ships. This is just my personal take on it. Might not necessarily be the right way, as always, as I say to this, but this is how I go about it. So going back to this kit then, as you can see, I'm tying the knots. I'm double knotting them so it's all secure. Now, the most important thing I have to remember here is to leave slack on it, because once this is tied on, then the yard arms have to go on, but these have to be loose. Again, it's not like a conventional ship where you would have them placed in a solid location area. You want these to move because they have to swing down and inside onto the deck when the masts are lowered. But I'll get into that as I go along. So as you can see there, the yard arm is moving. It's quite, I don't like it. I'll point that out right now. I really am not comfortable with it just moving about the way it does. It doesn't look right to me, and it's one of the problems I was agonising over while trying to build this, how to make it look like the sail is in a natural position. I I even temporarily attached the sails to it to see if I could modify it in such a way that when the mast comes up, that the sail would look right. I don't think it does. In the end, I took the sail off and repositioned it. But this is about the fourth attempt of me trying to do this, I should also point out. Now the lower yard's on and doing the top gallant yard, um, there is only the top gallant and the lower yard to place on these masts, but the top one is done in the exact same way as the lower one, making sure that it's loose. So this is actually my first attempt of attaching these sails. As I said, I tried attaching them to the mast first before carrying on with the build. That was a mistake. But as you can see there, I'm just cutting off the masts. And these have to have a slight curve to them. So I'm just taking a paintbrush and rolling the paper sail around it and to create the curve like that. And it's just as simple as that. And that will stay in shape. The very first one attached was the bowsprit. And I'm using PVA glue again here just to attach it. Just a bit of PVA glue along the top before attaching it to the yard, the bowsprit yard itself. The drawback about using the PVA, of course, it takes a lot longer for it to dry, but I was actually happy with this position on this one. But again, you can see that the bowsprit yard is moving quite a lot. So this is the next attempt of attaching the sails. Now, in this position, the sails look okay. But once I placed them, everything in on the deck and lowered the mast for it to go into the bottle, the parts of them just sprang off. They weren't particularly well attached. Other times it wasn't springing up how it should do, and they were all out of place, and it just looked a mess. So in the end, I actually took them off. But at the moment, I hadn't got to that problem, so I'm just carrying on with the rigging as normal. Each mast does have rigging running down the side like a normal square rigging does, and this helps again the raising of the actual mast. The thing that I had to keep in mind while doing this is there's one main line running from the bowsprit to the stern of the ship. That goes in and comes underneath the hull of the ship, and that's going to be my main line for raising up the three masts. So this is the one I'm just putting in place now. There's a little hole there, as you can see, and I'm having to thread that through. And this is the reason why I built the mast up and the rigging, well, most of the rigging on the mast before placing the mast in place, because I just would not have had enough room to get everything rigged up properly. So after my failed attempt, I've taken off the sails from the mast, and I placed the mast in. Now you've seen the mast coming up and down there. There's a very small little hinge inside the deck there which enables to do that. It's just a little nub of plastic. If you can see the L shape there that I'm pointing with my tweezers, that just gets pressed in. You have to press it in quite firmly. I had to make sure the pressure was only on that part and not on the mast itself, because of course that would end up breaking the thing. But once they were in, they actually moved up and down quite easily. And of course that is important for when I place it into the bottle to raise these masts back up. And as I'm going along with these masts, I'm placing the rigging through the deck and to the underside of the hull. And you can see that I'm just pulling it with my tweezers, and each one is going to be running along inside the deck and outside the bow so that I can pull it up at a later date. And now all three masts are on. I'm just making sure that all the lines are free. before tying on the main running line. So the instruction says when you tie it up from the bowsprit to the foremast, keep that separate, double knot that so that it works independently, and then work your way back. Now, I did try that, but it didn't work. When I pulled the thread, it just wouldn't spring it up. The mast, well, the gallons, well, yards, weren't swinging in enough for it to lie down flat and raise back up. So what I did was I took that rigging off and put another piece on, but this one just running straight through the mast with a little loop on each end, so that when I pulled it, it all came up. So it took a lot of time to figure that out, and how to raise these masts, but I think I've got it down now. I think they will rise up and lie flat enough to go inside the bottle. Only time will tell. I won't know for sure until I put the sails back on, and that'll be the next job, which will also bring this part to a close as well. The sails will just be attached like I did on the trial run with a little bit of PVA glue. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds, particularly for the USS United States and the Vasa that I mentioned, if you're interested to see how I do a full rig for the ships. Don't forget to share the video, that helps me out quite a bit, and of course hit that like button. Also leave a comment. I'm always interested to know what you guys think. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.